Everybody, Rose Matter here, and welcome to part 94 of my Umineko Let's Play. Last episode, after Angie discovered the existence of Ava's diary, aka the single truth, she is hell-bent on getting that book and discovering what really happened on Rokenjima in 1986. So she remembers all the way back to the beginning of Battler's game that that book that was at the chapel was in fact Ava's diary. So she has to go get it, bring it back to Byrne, and then she gets to discover the truth, much to Battler's dismay. He wants to try and stop her from finding the truth for his own reasons. There is an all-out war between a bunch of goats that have taken over the island and are basically destroying everything, and it represents the theories of people in the future. So it's pretty exciting right now. We've got the island, the cat box being eaten up alive. Beato trying to open up the gates to the Golden Land in time to save everybody, the pieces trying to fight off the goats, and Battler trying to get to Angie before she can discover the truth. So, what is going to happen next? Well, only one way to find out. Let's go ahead and let's get back into the story. Outside the chapel was a sea of goats. Very soon, the earth around the chapel would be eaten away, and it would probably end up floating on nothingness. The rampage of the goats as they devoured everything and chanted the tragedy they imagined with one voice truly made a lot of noise. However, none of that reached the inside of the chapel. Angie finally broke the magic seal on the entrance and stepped inside. The seal was supposed to be unbreakable by anyone. However, in the face of Ange Beatrice, Witch of Truth, the one who sought the truth and could sweep aside all forces that prevented her from finding it. Ah, interesting. So, not only did Battler at the beginning tell her not to open that book, or not to touch it, but he even sealed off the chapel. So he really... I assumed at some point he would, give her that option, because if the key is meant to unlock that book, I mean, maybe he just wasn't finished showing her what he wanted to show her before she made that choice, before she decided to go off and do it on her own. No barrier was absolute. Single book, tightly locked, rested on the altar. It was the hidden diary that Ushiramiya Ava had written in, even in her later years. The book of the single truth. It was the one Featherin had shown her in the world of 1998. This time, I have the key. I gripped the gold key that sat in my pocket, the key Oni-chan gave me. As I approached the altar, I saw the book of the single truth was wrapped in a strange bending of light. The book of the single truth was sealed in something like a crystal. My question is, if that book does exist in 1998, and some of the witch hunters had found it, I'm surprised that, with Angie going around and talking to, people in the witch hunter group, that she would have never, she never learned about the presence of this book, that they wouldn't reach out to Angie, maybe being like, oh, maybe she has the key for it, maybe it was, left behind for her, and we should return it to her if they're so upstanding, but who knows? The book of the single truth was sealed in something like a crystal. It was a seal made by the Game Master's authority. This was on a different level than the breakable magic seal in the chapel door. No matter how Angie used her power as a Witch of Truth, this couldn't be broken by anyone except the Game Master. However, this time Battler wasn't the only Game Master. I feel like we're going to have our confrontation. Bernkastel will show up, Battler's going to show up at the chapel, and she'll have to make her choice of who to believe. Angie slowly approached the altar. At that moment, a fierce impact hit the pair of them. Beato was flung away, and Battler was sealed inside a massive crystal that extended up to the heavens. Oh, that's gotta be Byrne being like, nope, I'm not gonna let you. Or maybe it's Erika finally showing up. It was a barrier, a massive cage of crystal. Battler was shut inside a crystal cage like a tower, so large you had to look up to see the top.
Beato, お前はエンジを頼め。そなたはどうする？これを一人で内側より破れるというのか。この結界は密室結界。
We can't even escape. Even when the mystery is done, we can't escape the locked rooms.
誰がこんなものを？俺に密室で挑もうとするやつなんて
Indeed.
一人しかいねえぜ。どうやら
Yeah, finally we get to see Erika.
まさか。行け！エンジを頼む！
Beato left Battler to handle this on his own and headed for the chapel. Battler took a deep breath, then smiled daringly.
待ってたぜ。退屈だったか？忘却の深淵とやらは。
The answer was a laugh. Yeah, that's right. That laugh is enough.
元気そうじゃねえか。
退屈ではありませんでした。だって信じてましたから。
だろうな。俺も信じてたぜ。
Battler flung off the cape of the territory lord. It would only get in the way. God, he's so cool. And it would be a rude way to welcome his final guest.
あの暗い深淵は次にあなたに再会できたならどんなミステリーで戦ってやろうかと思案するには実にちょうどいい場所でした。
この水晶の檻は俺たちの決闘のリングってわけか。逃げ場なしのチェーンデスマッチってわけだ。
思えば私たちいっつもチェーンの密室をめぐって戦ってましたね。
ならそうするか。まさにチェーンデスマッチってわけだ。
私に準備はありますが、あなたはどうです？
あるさ。言ったろ。俺も信じてたって。
At the same time, they both brandished their mystery, sealing the other in a chained lock room.
来い！フルドエリカ！
楽しませてもらいますよ、バトラさん。
At the same time, they were both sealed inside a locked room, locked with a chain. Of course, it was easy to set and unset the chain from the inside. However, stepping into their opponent's chained room would be difficult. They were fighting to the death with two chain I just love that a course like this final battle has to just be revolving around locked rooms. They were fighting to the death with two chain locked rooms at once. There could be no better locked room duel for this pair, who had battled with theories concerning chained rooms so often.
フルドエリカは自殺である、事故死である、病死である。他殺以外のあらゆる理由による死亡である。
自殺じゃないです、事故死じゃないです、病死じゃないです。ちゃんと私はあなたに殺されますよ、バトラさん。
Wait, so now they're saying that Erika was also killed in, I'm guessing, Burns' game?
扉の隙間よりの毒ガスによる殺害である。部屋に注水しての溺死である。
Or this is like a whole new one that she has set up separate from Burns' game. She did say that she had time to think up like a mystery. Man, this one's like rapid fire. Holy cow. Okay, so they both have set up their own locked room to find out like how the other person could have died in it.
狂気はない。背中にざっくりなんてどうだ。
古典密室はそうでなくては。
ならお前もやってみるか。
受けて立ちましょう。赤き真実。フルドエリカは視察である。狂気はナイフ。背中にざっくり。
面白え。お前の密室ぶち破ってやる。
これは何の真似？
Okay. I like the idea of Angie watching the two of them fight, be like, ugh, so trivial, so childish. Man, they are really just jam-packing all the fights into the last bit, aren't they? Start off slow, but holy cow. Well, there's a lot of characters that you have to have face off against each other, right? Beato had sealed the chapel, the locked room barrier. Unless that riddle was smashed with blue truth, Angie wouldn't be able to leave the chapel. After shrugging impatiently, Angie finally faced Beato.
あんたと直接戦うのってこれが初めてなのかしら。
おや、そうなるか。よかろう。手合わせしようぞ。ただし、ここにはバトラはおらぬ。わらわはバトラがおらぬと、ちょいと手加減を忘れるのでな。
あら不思議ね。私もそういう性分よ。
完全なる密室にてそなたを殺した。窓も扉も他すべてのいかなる方法を持っても外部との出入りはできぬ。
Having all the characters face off against each other is like a fighting game, and yes, I do know that there is an Umineko fighting game. Maybe that's something I should play after I'm done this as well, just like a little side thing. Maybe like I'll just try it out and see, because I'm curious about it. But I didn't want to play it until I finished the game in case of spoilers.
付き合ってあげるわ。あんたのゲーム。復讐要求。
そこでですね、第1回〇〇社ミステリー大賞応募作品中に八条先生が再び偽名にて原稿をお寄せになったという形にいたしまして、もちろん映画化テレビドラマ化全てが同時にリンクして動く形になっておりまして、ぜひ先生の玉稿を我が〇〇社にお預けいただきたく。
賞金は出るのですか？
もちろんでございます。栄えある第1回〇〇社ミステリー大賞賞金1000万円はもちろん先生にお支払いさせていただきます。他にもですね、他にも
面白い。気に入りました。だから原稿は書かないことにします。
先生、そんな。
Everything had seemed to be going so smoothly up until then, so the sudden refusal made the people from the publishing company fall over in their sofa.
私が書いた原稿よりあなた方のシナリオの方が面白い。ですからこの原稿は御社にお預けするにふさわしくありません。元よりくだらなき原稿。無知猛邁なる読者がいかにそれを棚に上げて自身が推理の限りを尽くしたかのような気分になるよう誘導するだけの打分。それを皮肉と気づき、人の子が自らの愚かさに苦笑する。そんな作品に書いたつもりが、まさか推理小説の扱いを受けるとは、我ながら文才のなさに呆れ果てるというものです。
とんでもない。どうかお許しを。どうか我が社に玉稿を。
金はいらぬが餌が欲しいです。
餌？先生の飼い猫の梅干しの好きな猫ちゃんとの噂を。かしこまりました。至急最高級の梅干し詰め合わせを。
一つずつ個別包装してあるやつで、一粒200円以上するものしか食べません。
I was gonna say, that feels like a lot of cat owners would be like, very specific taste. Not to say all cats are like this, but I'm like, I know enough people whose cats are like, I will not eat the same food 2 days in a row.
あれはやがて高血圧で死ぬな。キムチや辛味噌もよく舐めるし、舌のいかれた猫であること。
Me. The cat meowed an objection from where it lay on top of the bookshelf.
この原稿を預けませんが、御社対象用に新しい原稿を執筆しましょう。ただし、私の名前では書きません。御社対象の推定投稿数は1000件以上。その中から私の匿名原稿を見事見つけ出し、その上でなお対象にふさわしいと思えたなら、その時改めて先々の話を伺いましょう。それでいかがか？
玉光を賜れるだけでも至極幸福に存じまする。
あなたたちはいつもペコペコしていて実に面白い。だが今日はもう飽きました。お帰りなさい。人の子に会うのは実に疲れる。
ははー、ご拝謁賜れましたことを深くお礼申し上げまする。
Servant guided the people from the publishing company to the door. In the study that was now finally quiet, Hachijo Toya let out a sigh, slumped down on the sofa, and gazed at the ceiling.
疲れるが、たまには人の子の刺激も悪くない。定期的に人と会いなさいよ。ボケるわよ、引きこもってると。
The black cat leapt from the bookshelf and landed softly on the carpet. Then its form silently twisted and became that of Bernkastel.
あやつらは実に面白い。たまに招くと退屈を忘れられる。それに免じ、気が向いたら原稿を書いてやることとしよう。そなたに土産も持ってくるそうだしな。何を餌って。失礼ね。
Oh, she sounds so much more childish than she normally does.
餌であろうが。ほれ。
Hachiko picked up a jar from a shelf, then took a dried plum out and threw it into the air. In an instant, Bernkastel turned back into a black cat, caught it in midair, and started munching away.
先生、お客様がお帰りになりました。
A servant knocked on the door before making this announcement.
ありがとう。あれが目を覚ましたら教えてください。
かしこまりました。何かお紅茶を入れましょうか。
いえ、少し執筆をします。しばらく放っておくように。
はい。
After waiting for the servant's footsteps to disappear in the distance, Hachijo moved to her desk. The desk certainly looked as though it belonged to a great writer, with pages of manuscript scattered across it.
この世紀末にまだペンで書いてるの?
She sounds so different. I'm assuming that's intentional. The black cat spoke as it tore the dried plum apart with its mouth.
物語はインクで記す。それが私の不変のルールである。インクで書いて同じものをキーボードで打ち直すなんてバカな二度手間だわ。
No, that's how I tend to do things. I definitely prefer writing things down over typing things up on a computer. I would do that at school. It's like I would bring a notebook, I would write stuff down, and then I would put it in a Word document. And I feel like by writing it out twice, you get to learn the information a little bit better. You process stuff a little bit better too. So I don't think that's weird at all. I feel like a lot of writers probably do stuff like that.
ならばなぜ人の子は心の中で物語を描き、それをわざわざキーボードで打ち直すというのか。人の子の二度手間もバカバカしい。ならあんたは三度手間ってわけだわ。
She sounds every time she talks, she sounds more and more like her voice gets more high pitched. She sounds more childish.
今のは面白かった。
Even as Hachijo laughed, her fountain pen was already sliding across the page. Beautiful letters appeared almost as fast and proficiently as a typewriter. Only humans called her creations manuscripts. With her fountain pen and writing paper, she was creating a world. As she did, the hands of the clock would spin around like a top. The light and shadows that came in through the window changed their angle so fast they might have been the hands of a clock themselves. Slowly, she drew a large X across the tightly packed words on the paper.
気乗りしないの？うまく書けぬ。人を楽しませる原稿とはめんどくさいものだな。何しろ普段人に読ませるために文字など書かぬのでな。あんた、自分が何を言ってるのか、いっぺん原稿用紙に書いてみるといいわ。
Bernkastel curled up on the sofa, a mocking smile on her face. Normally, whenever Hachijo was writing, Bernkastel would never let herself be noticed, much less talk to her. I like to imagine as Hachijo like she is a real writer who's just gone insane with solitude and talks to her cat. Like, it's not actually Bern, obviously. I mean, if you have a pet, you talk to them. That's just how it goes. That's not weird. However, when you start to hear them talking back to you, that's concerning. However, realizing Hachijo was apparently getting bored with her manuscript, Bernkastel yawned and started talking. 何を書いてるの？さっき人の子に捧げる物語だ。どこの人の子？我に朗読を捧げたる巫女に約束した物語だ。ああ、まだ書いてたの。何を書けばあれは満足するのか。私にはもうわからぬのだ。またあうあうが投げ出したわ。あんたはいつだって勝手に物語を約束して最後まで書ききれなくなって投げ出すのね。投げ出さぬからこうして悩んでいる。エンジが望む物語は最初から一つしかないわ。一なる真実の物語か。エンジはあの日に何があったのか知りたいと希望しているわ。それを煙に巻く物語をいくら書いたって満足するわけもない。一なる真実よりも私の物語の方がよほど面白いと思うのだがな。エンジは面白い物語が読みたいんじゃないのよ。私はあの人の子にそなたのために物語を書くと約束した。だから私はあやつのためにあやつが喜ぶ物語を書いている。どんなに面白かろうと面白くなかろうとあんたが書くそれはすべて。エンジはそんなものを一切望んでいない。まだわかんないの？一なる真実の書は後宮エヴァが記した。Hidden amongst the pile of writing paper was Ava's diary. So, is that what happened to it in reality? That this actual writer that I assume actually exists? Like, she had it the whole time. I mean, she did give it to Angie in some world, whatever world that was, but that is the thing is, like, where was this book the whole time? They did say that, like, witch hunters had it. So... そして筆者はこれを誰にも明かさずに言った。私は物書きの端くれとしてそれを尊重したいと思うのだ。笑わせないで。物語の腹渡引きずり出して月見で一杯のあんたがそれを語る？真実などつまらぬぞ。いくつもの物語の腹渡を食いちぎってきた末の感想がそれ？そういうことでもよい。With a self-mocking laugh, Hachijo set down her fountain pen. 私は老いた。老いて最初に理解したのは、知ることより知らぬことの方が貴重であるということだ。年寄り臭そうな話だけど、付き合ってあげる。どういう意味？知ることと知らぬこと。この二つは不可逆的な関係だということだ。そうね。知らぬから知るに移ることはできても、知るから知らぬには移れない。それを理解したとき、私は知らぬことに宿る処女性にも似た高潔なる純粋さを理解したのだ。Okay, Ignorance is bliss.
私は退屈から逃れるために、星の数ほどのゲームを、物語を、腹渡を引きずり出しては食らってきた。しかしいつも退屈が癒されるのはほんの一瞬で、その儚さゆえに、私は個々の物語を軽んじてきた。
そうね。猫を食らえば、お楽しみは一晩でおしまいだわ。でも生かしておけば、やがては悪態をついたり、皮肉を言ったりするようになるかもしれない。
そうだな。勝手に貸し棚を漁ったり、ベッドに忍び込んできて暑苦しいのも、なかなか愉快なものだ。
Hachiko looked around at the books covering every square inch of the room and softly pet the cat's back.
私は一つの物語を、もっともっと深く長く楽しむことができたかもしれない。退屈から逃れるために、星の数の物語を食い尽くしてきた私は、そもそもただ殺していただけ。結局は、それが私をも殺すのだ。
Hachiko laughed with self-derision.
ベアトのゲームだって、腹渡を引きずり出そうとしたじゃない。
The voice sort of sounds like Angie. Maybe I'm just, because it's the only, like, young girl voice that I can think of that's not Maria, but...
答え合わせを希望しただけだ。物語の紡ぎ手であるベアトリーチェには、敬意を表する形としたつもりだがな。
そうね。わかんないやつにはわかんない。うまい朗読だったと思うわ。
エンジェが真実を知ることと知らぬことと、どちらが良い物語となるのか。
Yeah, that voice can't be Angie, because she's talking about
もう
Angie
私にはわからぬ。
to burn.
だからそなたに再び軽蔑されることを覚悟の上で、私はこの物語の続きを書くことをやめようと思う。
やめてどうすんの？
私は書かぬ。記すだけだ。後ろ宮エンジェが自ら紡ぐ物語をな。
また、そういうことをするのね。
私は真実を知らぬことをあえて選ぶ方が高潔であると、1000年を生き飽きた末に思う。しかし100年も生きぬエンジェに、その価値観を押し付けるのも酷であると、今理解した。
だから、エンジェに委ねようと？
そうだ。それを私は淡々と記す。
エンジェに委ねるということは、もうこの物語の向かう先は、半ば決まったようなものだけど。
そうなるだろうな。それでよい。私が記すどのような物語よりも結局は、人の子が自ら紡ぐ物語の方が面白いのだから。
なら、エンジェの物語に付き合ってあげたら？出番はもう作ってあげたでしょ？
ふむ。私はこの物語にピリオドを打つ役目か。
ベアトのゲーム風にもっとかっこよく言ってほしいわ。猫箱の腹渡を引きずり出す役目よ。
Hachiko chuckled, pushed aside the pile of writing paper, and picked up the book of the single truth. Then she opened a locked drawer.
エンジェが望むのだ。この書の封印は解かれる運命にあるだろう。エンジェは一なる真実に至り、一なる真実は猫箱の封印を開いてすべてを白日にさらす。それをもってネットの海に無数にばらまかれた愉快なる妄想のボトルメッセージとかけらはすべて海の泡となって消え果てる。あやつももうそのようなかけらには疲れ果てただろうからな。
もうあの子も旅を終えてもいい頃だわ。
引き受けようではないか。その度に終着液を与える役目を。
At that moment, there were sounds of someone in the hallway. The instant someone knocked on the door, Berncastel turned back into a black cat.
先生、執筆中失礼いたします。
It was the voice of Hachiko's servant. Or
何か
Hachicho, not Hachiko.
電話なら断ってください。
いえ、トウヤ様がお目覚めになりました。
ありがとう。 軽食の準備を。私の分も一緒に。
かしこまりました。
Hachijo stood up. Then she shut the open drawer and locked it again. Inside that drawer lay a glittering golden key. Whoa, this music.
副賞要求。密室の定義は内外からのあらゆる出入りを否定するものである。
副賞拒否。可能なる密室殺人の定義は完全なる密室の定義とは一致しない。
チェーンが破壊後に修復された可能性。扉が破壊後に修復された可能性。壁が破壊後に修復された可能性。
俺の密室にはいかなる修復も存在しない。
本当に楽しいですね、バトラさん。
悪いが今はお前と遊んでる暇がねえんだよ。
こちらこそ悪いですが、真実の魔女の同志エンジェさんの邪魔をさせるわけにはいきません。
そういや、お前も真実の魔女だったな。なるほど、エンジェの先輩魔女ってわけだ。
一なる真実、それこそが思考にして究極。それに至る全ての障害を打ち破ることのできる魔女こそが真実の魔女です。
そんなにも一なる真実とやらが大事か。世の中には知る必要も価値もないものだってたくさんある。エンジェにとって1986年にどれほどの意味があるってんだ。何もない。
Well, if Angie heard that, she'd be pretty upset. I was just like, that's the only thing that she wants to know. And it does really seem like Battler is trying to hide some of the truth from her.
ないでしょうね。1986年に何があったってなくたって1998年に生きるエンジェさんには何の変化もない。それが知ることの無意味さです。ですが一つだけ変えられることがあります。
それは何だ。
どう生きるかです。
Erika transformed her reasoning into a scythe blade and lashed out at Battler over and over. Battler also created a blade from his reasoning and attacked Erika over and over. In the middle of all this, he questioned Erika, the girl who, like Angie, called herself a witch of truth. Just what is the point of exposing the truth?
そうだな。人は知ることでどう生きるかを変えることもあるだろう。ならば俺は肉親として願う。エンジェが俺のゲームの末により良い生き方に人生を変えてくれることをな。
知ることで人の生き方は変わりますが、それが良いものになるかは分かりかねます。
Is Battler, like, trying to keep her from that truth because maybe he knows that she wouldn't be able to handle the actual truth and she might harm herself? Although there is the theory that all of the stuff that happens, like Angie threw herself off that building in 1998 and died. So that's not too far to the, like, out there that could just, like, this could all just be the things that happened in her mind before she died, like a Jacob's Ladder scenario. Like, maybe that would be her breaking point, where it's just like, when she figures out the truth, she's got nothing left to live for.
電車の座席シートに生息するダニの数、水道水にまつわる不衛生な都市伝説。
Or the fact that you have microscopic bugs that are living on your eyelashes right now.
知らねえ方がマシな話は聞いたね。
I won't disagree with that.
一なる真実の書は確かにこの島で何があったのかをエンジェに教えるだろう。しかしそれを知って何の意味がある。12年前の悲しみが増すばかりじゃねえか。一体エンジェはさらにあと何年をかければ一人の女の子としての幸せを享受できるってんだよ。一体何年をかければ その傷口は癒されるんだよ。
Angie's desire to find the truth is hurting her, regardless of what the truth actually is. Though her deep wounds were slow to heal, they did begin to do so during those 12 years. So the Battler is saying that by her finding the truth, it's going to do her more harm than good, rather than like trying to let go of the past and try and live life normally. She's just become obsessed with it. However, Angie kept picking at the scabs. In her search for the truth, she tore at those wounds herself, opening them up once more. Okay, I can see Battler's point of view on this too. I can see Angie's point of view, because she wants closure, but I can see Battler's point of view. I'm guessing that's what his whole game was about.
俺たち後ろ宮家全員の願いなんだ。
そんなの知ったこっちゃありません。
So this is like the difference between like the love and the heart of a game versus just like the cold desire for truth. Those are the two sides. That's Battler and Erika versus Battler.
真実こそ全て、真実こそ正義。
中学の頃に誰もが一度はかかる病気だな。大人が隠すことをやたらと知りたくなる。
それを暴くのが楽しいんじゃないですか。
ああ、そうだな。大人の本はこそこそ隠れて読むから楽しいんだぜ。そなたの青きくさびのすべてを赤き真実によって否定する。そなたの提示するすべての方法でわらわの密室を破ることはできぬ。
Or Angie, she's not as learned in this as Battler. Battler's had a lot of experience doing this. Angie was breathing heavily. The book of the single truth was right before her eyes. If she could just defeat Beato, she'd be able to take the book to Bernkastel, and then she could read what was inside. Even though the truth of the Final Family Conference on October 4th and 5th, 1986 was right there, the Golden Witch stood in her way. Her anger and hatred spun around inside her head, wiping out the composure she needed to create theories. Angie shook her head several times, clearing away everything that got in the way of thinking. However, no matter how many times she thought it through, the locked room sealing her in the chapel was perfect. Angie wasn't particularly familiar with the mystery genre. However, she knew about all the fragments containing Beato's game so far. Her knowledge was shallow, but it should still have been enough to give her a good foothold. This is like Battler when he let his emotions get the best of him and he lost because of it. However, no matter how many blue truths she shot at Beato, none of them even made the witch flinch. Beato just blew them apart with the red truth and an elegant wave of her pipe.
いい加減に諦めよ。わらわはそなたとゲームをしているつもりさえない。
絶対に解けない問題とでも言いたげね。
バトラがエリカをもてなし終えるまでの時間稼ぎよ。そなたの頭を冷やせるのは。
I really am looking forward to that showdown between Angie and Battler. And I don't want it to be a showdown. I kind of do, but I kind of don't. But, like, in a loving way. Battler being like, I'm doing this for your own good, I promise.
頭を冷やす？あんたたちが一なる真実を私から隠すからでしょうが。だから私はあんたたちに抗う。これは権利よ。私には後宮家の最後の一人として真実を知る権利がある。
そうだ。だからこそこの最後のゲームなのだ。
そうね。この最後のゲームが与えられなかったら、私には真実に至るチャンスさえ与えられなかった。その点についてだけは私も感謝しているわ。
1986年に何があったのか、何が親族を、そして家族を奪ったのか、それを知りたいと願うそなたの気持ちは人間としては真っ当なものだ。しかしそれを理解してなおバトラはそなたが1986年に回帰するべきではないと思った。
お兄ちゃんの言いたいことはわかるわよ。過去を振り返らず
未来を見て生きろとか言うつもりでしょ。そうだ、それをバトラーはこの最後のゲームをもってそなたに伝えるつもりだった。なら答えは早々に出てるわ。ノーサンキューよ、黄金の魔女。私は1986年にもう死んでいた。その後12年間も亡霊として一人ぼっちでさまよったわ。そしてエヴァおばさんが死んで、私が亡霊としてさえ地上にとどまる理由がなくなった。
Was that the moment that that's when she jumped off the building, right?
だから最後に一つだけ自分が本当にしたいことをして死のうと決めたの。それが1986年の真実を知ることだというのか。そうよ、悪い。
So that's way, way, way back then, right? Like, I can't even remember which game that was where it said, like, Angie, like, died in 1998. But now this whole thing about Shannon and Canon about, like, quote-unquote death, it's just, and then this whole thing about, like, the different versions of Angie, like Angie Beatrice versus Angie, is just, like, that whole thing is, like, when Angie died in 1998, I think that means, like, the old Angie died and she became the witch, like new Angie, so she's probably still alive in 1998, but it's still a little confusing to me. And that's why Battler doesn't want her to get the truth, because he knows. That's what I said, it's just like that she's gonna get the closure, and then she's like, then after that nothing's keeping me on this mortal plane and I will die. So maybe that is the world. Oh gosh, so maybe if she actually did die in 1998, maybe that's the world where Angie did find the diary, she learned the truth, and then she died after.
バトラはそなたに生きることを望んでいる。真実のない生なんて死んでいるのと同じよ。私は生きるために知ろうとしている。そなたは今死ぬために知ろうとしていると言ったぞ。ああ、そうね。じゃあ言い直す。私は死ぬために知ろうとしてるの。そして自分の命と引き換えにベルーンカステルと契約したのよ。あの日に何があったのか知るためにね。未知なる真実は私が自ら手にするメイドの土産なのよ。無駄だ。そなたにこの密室は破れぬ。この密室は完璧だ。にもかかわらずそなたをこの密室でわらわが殺す。
She had tried every theory and idea she could think of, even though so absurd they qualified as nonsense. Is it small bombs level of nonsense, though? However, none of it had any effect on Beato. Powerless and frustrated with the book of the single truth right before her eyes, Angie bit her lower lip.
本来はそなたに与えた鍵にてそなたに未来を選ばせるゲームだった。嘘だわ。こうして礼拝堂に隠して私にはあんたたちの望む前向きな未来の扉とやらでも選ばせるつもりだったんでしょ。そんなのは選択じゃない。押し付けだわ。
Who knows? Maybe that'll be like the, maybe that's the thing, is like the game gives you that illusion of choice where Battler told her at the beginning she had a choice. Maybe there is no big choice to make at the end at all.
親はこの選択肢から不適当なものを間引く権利を有す。
That would be quite the fourth wall breaking thing where it's like it tells you from the beginning you had a choice when you never did.
私は子供じゃないわ。自分で考えて行動できる18歳の女よ。たわけが過去のこと以外何も考えることができぬ6歳の小娘であろうが。誰のせいでよ。あんたのせいで私はいつまでも6歳のままなんじゃない。真実を覆い隠すあんたの幻想を今こそ打ち破る。そうね、思えばあんたは今こうして礼拝堂に私を閉じ込めてるんじゃない。1986年のあの日からずっと私はあんたのせいで孤独で
誰も真実を教えてくれない密室に閉じ込められているのよ。あんたの密室を今こそ私は自らの手で打ち破る。ああ、ダメね。全然ダメだわ。分かったわ。あんたの完全密室のトリック。復讐要求。私を密室に閉じ込めてから直ちにあんたは私を殺害している。
Oh.
拒否する。
Oh. She got her.
そうよ。あんたは私を18
Oh,
年かけて
interesting.
殺すのよ。
When she said that she was dead, she said that I was dead the moment that happened 1986, so she could just keep her in a locked room and kill her, in a way. Interesting.
ありがとう、ベアトリーチェ。それを思い出させてくれたおかげで、
Hmm.
あんたが私を殺す密室殺人のトリックが分かったわ。
エンジ、そなたは未来ある若者だ。そして未来に生きる黄金の魔女ではないか。ならば未来にて生きよ。過去の真実にどれほどの価値がある。そなたが自ら生み出すそなたの未来の真実の方がよほど価値があるだろうに。
And Beato, she flipped her attitude really quick. She went from being so cocky to now like she's like pleading with her.
私の人生なんてクズよ。家族は私を残してみんな死んだわ。
I don't know. Maybe that was Beato did that on purpose. I don't know. She seems smart enough to not let like a slip of the tongue like that and let Angie take that. And like either she really underestimated Angie, or like she really did have a slip of the tongue there, or she's doing this on purpose to like have Angie come to that conclusion.
だから一なる真実を手土産に私はみんなのところに帰るの。
真実を知れば家族の死を受け入れることになるだけだぞ。ひょっとしたら家族の誰かが生き延びていて再会できるかもしれない奇跡に託して生き延びようとは思わぬのか。
安心して、奇跡の魔女でさえそのかけらを見つけられなかったから。
Almost none of the family's remains were recovered from the great Rokenjima explosion. Some days, I hoped that this might be a sign that they had escaped the explosion and survived, and that hope gave me the strength to live on. However, that hope wasn't strong enough to support me for 12 long years.
だから私は真実を知りたいと思いながらも無意識のうちに真実から目を背けていた。家族の死をはっきりと理解することで誰かが生き残ったかもしれないという奇跡をでもね、もうそういうありもしない奇跡にすがって生き延びるのには飽き飽きしたの。だから私は家族の死を受け入れることにした。どのような真実であろうとも認めようと思った。だから私は真実の魔女となった。
過去の真実に目がくらみ自らの未来が見えなくなったものの、なんと愚かなことか。許せバトル、そなたの妹を正しき未来に導くにはわらわは力が足りなかった。
A blazing blue wedge appeared in Angie's hand. It was long, thick, and shaped like a spear.
これで終わりよ。1986年の魔女。この密室は完璧な密室。故に私は出られず、あんただって外部から私に指一本触れることはできない。でもあんたは私をこの密室に閉じ込めたわ。それをもって私を殺したと言える唯一のトリックがこれよ。あんたは私をこの完全な密室に閉じ込めて餓死させた。それを目論んで私を閉じ込めたなら、これは立派にあんたが殺したことになる密室殺人。死因を煙に巻きすぎたのが裏目に出た。
Interesting.
さようなら幻想の魔女。
I thought it was a whole thing about like the idea of killing someone, where she talks like you killed, when she said about like I was dead, you know, I died at 6 because of you. I thought it was like a, but no, it's a literal thing like you starved me to death.
死ゆ
the stained glass window behind her. Beato spread her arms and let the spear of blue truth pierce her. The blue spear seemed to crucify Beato against the window. I wonder if Battler's gonna come running in right now. Angie picked up the book from where it lay on the altar, sealed in crystal.
そなたはベルンカステルとの契約により死ぬのであろうが、死ぬために真実を知るのか。馬鹿げている。
そうよ、私は死ぬために真実を求めてるの。死に方くらい私に選ばせて。私もバカじゃない。本当の私はきっとあの地上の星空の宙に浮かんでいるのよ。
Bernkastel acknowledged me as the final Beatrice and invited me on a journey to learn the truth of 1986. There'd be no coming back from that journey. When Bernkastel told me that and walked off the roof into the black sky, I followed her into the empty air. That was the contract. I wanted two things from Bernkastel. One was for someone from my family to come back. The other was revenge. To destroy the witch illusions concealing the events of that day. In other words, to reach the truth. However, the first of my wishes couldn't come true. After all, even the Witch of Miracles couldn't find a fragment where my family came home. So she wordlessly questioned me. Told me I couldn't reach the truth unless I had the courage to end this worthless life, living like a ghost and hoping someone might come back. So she walked out into the open air, and I followed her. Yes, now I can understand. When I offered to trade away my life that day, I made one wish and gave up on another. I wished for revenge against the illusion that hid the truth, and now I've succeeded in that revenge, defeating the master of that illusion and obtaining the book of the single truth. What I gave up was my naivety, my continuing belief that someone from my family might come back, and now I can accept that my entire family said, what if somehow, like, in that world, that original world, someone was still there and then Byrne, like, didn't tell her that? And, like, she ends up, if she dies, then she'll never know. That's a little out there, like she said. Unlikely. Like, if somebody was still alive, you think that they would have contacted her some point afterwards.
知らなきゃ生きてることにできるの？あんたたちの言う猫箱というのは死体を隠せば生きていることにしてもいいという甘えた妄想だけがたった一つのトリック。
It's been drilled into me. My dad would always say that every time we would watch something. He'd be like, no body. Until you see the body, you can't say for sure that someone won't come back or someone's not still alive. And sometimes even when you do see a body, like in this game, multiple times we've seen a body, and it hasn't meant anything.
でもね、隠したって死んでいることは変わらないのよ。遠いお空の国でいつまでも見守っているなんて。そんなおとぎ話みたいなので私の傷が塞げると本気で思っているの？私は真実の魔女エンジェ・ベアトリーチェ。起こらぬ奇跡を待って亡霊のように生きる日々から私は真実に至った高潔なる殉教者として生を終えるのよ。
そなたはマリアの魔導書より
Oh, is she doing like a Hail Mary? Be like, maybe if I bring up Maria, maybe that'll get through to her. Nope.
そしてなんて無力なものだろうと絶望したわ。そしてそれがお兄ちゃんが私に押し付けようとしていることなのよね。私が信じれば魔法があればいつだって家族は私のそばにいる。バカにしないで。そんな魔法でそんな幻想で白チューブで私の12年が言えるの？そしてこれから未来の数十年をどう生きていけるの？誰か帰ってきてよ、誰か。でも誰も帰ってこない。じゃあせめてあの日何があったのかだけでも教えてよ。そ それは教えてくれるそうよ、ベルンカステルが。はあ、我が主よ、今こそ一なる真実の書を手に入れました。今からこれを持ち帰りますから、私に真実をお与えください。家族が生きているかもしれないという甘えた奇跡を捨て去る覚悟はもうとっくにできています。私に今こそあの日の真実を教えて。
Damn, Angie. Wow. A blinding light poured out of the chapel. It seeped from the windows and the cracks of the door, even reaching as far as Battler and Erika's eyes.
なんだ。
どうやら同志エンジェが仕事を終えたようですね。あなたが無様な封印を施したようですが、我が主に委ねれば冷凍サンマを解凍するより簡単に解いてくれるでしょう。
くそ。
我が主よりエンジェが仕事を終えるまで遊べばよいと命じられています。十分に再会を楽しめましたし、これでお開きにしようと思います。
Erika gave an elegant curtsy.
なぜエンジェに一なる真実をそそのかす。お前の主なら知ってるはずだ。エンジェには何の意味もない真実だと。
ええ、世の中のあらゆる真実に
I-
意味などありま
It's
せん。
because she's salty that she lost against Battler multiple times, and this is her revenge. This is her being like, I won.
意味を生み出すのは結局のところ人間一人一人の心の中。一なる真実でさえ人が異なれば生まれる意味が異なる。ないんですよ、真実に意味なんて。それでも私が真実にこだわる理由はただ一つ。
探偵だから。
しかしエンジェさんは探偵ではありません。あの子にとって真実はゴール。幸薄き人生に終わりを告げる終止符です。これであの子はようやく生を終える最後のみそぎを終えた。死ぬためにたった一つの真実にこだわる一夜限りの、地上に叩きつけられて死ぬまでのほんのわずかな時間だけの
Damn, Erika. Harsh.
の魔女。
エンジェを死なせはしない。どんなに辛くても生きてくれ。それだけが俺たちの願いなのだから。生きていればどんな魔法もどんな奇跡だって起こり得るんだ。
それをエンジェさんの肩を抱いて直接言わなかったことがあなたの敗因です。
Wow, she's twisting the knife, being like, instead of you being all subtle and, vague about it, if you just told her directly.
いかがです？あなたのわめきを聞くだけでフルドエリカにはこの程度の推理が可能です。
生きろエンジェ。
He yelled towards the chapel, but Angie probably wasn't even there anymore. Battler's yell was swallowed up by the empty, pitch-black sky and the sea of rampaging goats.
どうしえば作戦終了です。退却しましょう。
あら、もうおしまい？今度は私自らがエヴァ犯人説で島中をめちゃくちゃにしてやろうと思ってたのに。
Ava appeared in midair and cackled.
ごめんね、バトラ君。私の力不足で。私は私のやり方で12年間あの子を守ったわ。
感謝する。
でももうあの子が自分で決めることよ。もうあの子も18歳。自分の人生は自分で決めてもいいとは思わない？
悪いな、妹煩悩な兄貴で。
じゃあね、私は今はベルンカステル教の駒。これで失礼するわ。
どうしえば後ほど。
Ava held out her palm open, and a small pointy blue fragment appeared there. fragment burst, and with a blinding flash of light, Ava vanished. It was the same light that had seeped out of the chapel earlier. Pieces cannot leave the game board. However, the Voyager witches alone could come and go. This was probably some sort of magic that Bernkastel had given them. Erika opened her palm as well, and the same sort of fragment appeared there. What if Battler just grabbed onto her at the last moment, then he got transported with them?
待ちな、俺たちの決着はまだついてねえぜ。
If he could steal the fragment in Erika's hand, he'd be able to go to where Bernkastel was. The seal surrounding the Book of the Single Truth would probably be broken easily with Bernkastel's power. However, even so, it would take her some time. He could steal that fragment. He'd have a chance at bringing Angie back. Oh, is this like... Alright, I don't think Erika would be the type to disobey Byrne, though. They'd be like, alright, one last fight. If I win our little game, I get that fragment.
決着も何もタイムオーバーです。ですが、最後にもう一撃を食らいたいというのがお望みなら、叶えてあげてもいいです。
But of course, Erika can't turn down a game of wits, I guess. He'd known Erika couldn't resist the challenge. Yeah, after all, Battler already knew what Erika's trick was. Oh, shit. Okay, he'd figured it out just a second ago. Even while he spoke with Erika, he'd been thinking about it inside his mind. He could finish her with this last strike and take the fragment. Oh, Battler!
行くぜ、エリカ。この一撃で決めてやる。
その一撃でおいとましますので。
I love that he uses like her own weakness against her, just knowing, like he said, she can't turn down a challenge.
自慢のとんでも推理の中でもとびっきり面白いのを
What
お
if
願
he
いします。
what if he shot out that the theory and it was wrong and she's like, okay, bye.
お前の3つ定義は壁、窓、床、天井、チェーンのあらゆる絶対性を主張した。しかし一点だけ。あまりのバカバカしさに俺が求めなかった絶対性がある。
Is it like is it the building itself, maybe? I'm trying to think of what else there could be, because he's going about very specific parts of the room.
それはチェーンを外部から開閉することの可否だ。
Ah!
青き真実。
It was kind of like with Beatos, where it's just like being purposely vague about it, talking about a chain, but didn't say specifically where the chain was.
これがお前の3つの答えだ。チェーンの長さ。お前の3つのチェーンは長く、外部からも開閉が可能である。
What a ridiculous answer. However, if you blindly assume a lock made by an unbreakable chain makes a locked room unbeatable, then this truly would be a perfect locked room. The blue wedge flung from Battler's hand plunged straight into Erika's chest. As she winced in pain, her hand shook, and the fragment she held flew into the air. Hey, 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 yes. It's so... I love it.
バトラさんの密室定義は壁、窓、
Oh, shit.
床、扉、
Oh my
チェーン
gosh.
まであらゆる絶対性を主張しました。
Oh, shit. Is she gonna hit him with one, too, and then he can't leave either?
しかし一つ、実にバカバカしい定義が抜けていましたよ。青き真実。バトラさんの密室には天井がなく、壁を乗り越えての入室が可能である。
Oh my gosh, they are. They're gonna pierce each other so, like, neither of them can go? What? Erika's blue scythe swung out from behind her back, catching Battler in the side as he stretched his hand out towards the fragment. Battler's hand didn't reach it. The fragment returned to Erika's hands once more. Oh no.
トリックのバカバカしさは互角だったようですね。ミステリーマニアなら憤怒しているところでしょうか。しかし私は違う。そのバカバカしさを暴くに至ったその過程に恍惚を覚えます。それが探偵フルドエリカ。
貴様、とっくに答えに至ってやがったな。
いいえ、あなたが青き真実を繰り出してからかけらを奪おうと手を伸ばすまでの一瞬で考えました。私は最初から時間稼ぎ。 今の一瞬で初めて私は推理を始めたのですから。
Erika broke the crystal barrier that surrounded them. Then she flew high up into the sky, looking down on Battler and laughing at him as she gave a final bow.
ごきげんよう、バトラさん。私の出番がこれだけだとしても、これで私が用済みで再び忘却の深淵に突き落とされようとも悔いのない時間でした。
待て。
No one would be foolish enough to wait on command. With a blinding flash, Erika vanished. Damn. Oh, what's gonna happen now? Ugh. Hopefully this does come down to me as Angie and, like, there will be a choice to make. I thought that was gonna be it. I thought Battler was gonna have that last minute, you know, like, breakthrough and be able to, like, go and try and convince her. Angie had gotten the Book of the Single Truth and returned to Bernkastel. Battler and the others had no way to leave the game board. Everything had come to an end. The gold butterfly flitted by, and Beato appeared.
すまぬ。バトラ、エンジェを逃がしてしまった。俺もすまねえ。奴らを逃がしちまった。もう、お手上げだ。
I have been told it's not over yet. We still have quite a bit to go, but this feels... I'm like, how much more could there possibly be? I always think that to myself. Like, it feels like it's closing in, and I know, like, I don't think it's going to end this way. It's not going to end badly. I don't want it to end badly. This feels so demoralizing, though. Battler had created this game for Angie. Now that Angie was gone, the game board no longer had any purpose. Even if that weren't the case, even now, the game board was being chewed apart by the goats like a single leaf floating on a sea of nothingness. Are they not going to go to the Golden Land, or does it not even matter at this point without Angie being there? Thanks to Gertrude and Cornelius' seals, the mansion was protected from the second floor up. The door to the Golden Land, okay, was now open wide enough for a child to slip through. The smaller people, including Maria and Sakataro, slipped through it.
我が友よ、扉の開きが少し早くなった気がする。はい、私の目にもそのように見えます。お父さん、扉はまだ開きませんか。奴らもうじき窓を破ってきそうです。クラウス様、どうかご安心を。アイゼルネ・ユングフラウの結界、そうやすやすと破れるものではございません。
もうじき大人も通れるようになります。大丈夫ですよ。間に合います。
しかし、どんどんばんばんとすごいありさまでして、その
慌てずに待て。どうせ我らには待つ以外にできることは何もないのだからな。
Even the outer walls of the mansion were covered with goats, and they were plunging their fangs and fists into the walls and windows, trying to break through them. There were goats stuck to all the windows in the hallway, smashing their thick arms against the windows in a way that would terrify anyone, even if they knew about the barrier. However, anyone watching the group of goats gathered at the top of the big staircase from the safety of the other side of the barrier would probably feel a different emotion. Instead of terror, it was a sad, empty sort of emotion. The barrier was drawn across the landing at the top of the hall's great staircase. Beyond that barrier, everything had already been eaten away. Was it even possible for those who stood in the hallway of the upper floors to believe that this was the Rokenjima mansion? By now, no one looking at the scene would be able to imagine such a thing. Forget the hall or even the whole first floor, even the ground itself was almost gone. A sea of goats had eaten everything apart long before this. They had eaten apart the hall, the pillars of the mansion, the floor, the ground, the sea, the very concept of the island, every part of the game board Battler had created. And now the only leftover was the upper part of the mansion, which floated along in empty space.
哀れなことです。
何がなりや。
この島を食い尽くすという快楽に身を任せたヤギたちが 自分たちの足場さえ食い尽くし、虚無に落ちて消えていく。
This had once been a huge entrance hall. Beyond it had been a vast rose garden. There had been so many places to stand upon. However, now, holes had been dug everywhere, and nearly everything outside the mansion was completely gone. Some goats were clutching to the few remaining footholds and pillars, still eating away at them.
真実を暴くとは殺すことと心得るものなり。
人はなぜ殺さずには生きられないのです。遠大なる歴史の中であれだけの大勢が奇跡を願いながら、結局は奇跡の余地を自ら食い尽くし、自らの足場さえ食い破って奈落へ落ちてゆく。
They saw a goat chewing the same pillar that was holding it up, which unsurprisingly fell into an empty blackness along with the goat.
人間は知るために生きるように定められた悲しい生き物だからです。知ることが自分の生きる夢や希望を自ら食い尽くすことを意味するなら、人間は死ぬために生まれてきたってことになる。私たちは生きろと教えられます。しかし生きてなすことのほぼ全てが結局は自分を殺している。
それ以上考えるな。頭痛にならん。
私は一人の人間として問いたい。知ることは罪なのですか？無知に生きる方が夢や希望があると。
Yeah, right? I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily like that. That way of thinking is just to live in ignorant bliss, but not to want to learn more about the world and stuff, to just like kind of float through life, not wanting to expand your knowledge about stuff.
全知に生きることも無知に生きることもどちらにも利点はあるし短所もある。そのどちらに生きるのも自由だ。
Is this the ultimate choice I have to make at the end? Is either live with knowledge, or I guess die with knowledge in Angie's case, or live in ignorance.
だから人間ってのは無力なんだ。
人は知ることはできても知らぬことはできない生き物なり。
故に全知の神はそれができぬ人間に代わりて、知るべきことと知らぬべきことを分け隔てているものなり。
過ぎた好奇心は夢も希望も殺す。
Is that why is that why she's kind of like a black cat, or I guess a cat in general? Black cat meaning bad luck, but I guess a cat, maybe that represents the whole like curiosity killed the cat, where she is kind of like nudging Angie along, like learning stuff, but also it will kill her? I may be overthinking this about like the whole thing about like a cat. I think cats also, they represent like gods and stuff, as well as like a divine being in some religions as well. And literally a cat box, right? A lot of references to cats.
バトラ教がそれをエンジェに伝えきれなかったとしても無理もないことです。
そのエンジェももういない。このゲームももうおしまいだな。
I've said this before. I know I don't have much choice in the matter. It's not like a standard visual novel where you're given a lot of choices to make, but this feels like somehow I earned a bad end without really doing anything. Struck dumb by Will's words, everyone fell silent. Only the sound of the goats eating everything away rang out hollowly. Even if they escaped the Golden Land, these goats of emptiness would probably chew into that realm eventually as well. Even if they got away for the time being, nothing would be resolved. It was all set in stone now. They had no way to resist the future's violent attempts to tear the cat box of the past open.
なら、私たちは生きなければ。人間の愚かさが自ら夢や希望を捨て去ることならば、私は
それを最後の1秒まで信じることを選びたい。
いい根性だ。
私は幾百万の世界のベアトリーチェたちの唯一の希望が具現化した存在だから、私はこんな時でもみんなの希望でなければいけないんです。だから私はまだこのゲームを諦めません。
諦めないとは？
最後の1秒まで奇跡を信じて待つということです。
最後の1秒まであがいてあがき抜こうってわけか。
そうです。私たちの時だって
That's right. And Will was the one who got her to snap out of it when she wanted to give up.
でもラムダデルタさんが助けてくれました。もし奇跡を信じずに諦めていたら、私たちは助けられる前に虚無に消えていたに違いない。
私が助けたってより、ベルンがあんたたちを殺し損ねたって感じね。あるいはあの子の気まぐれかもしれない。奇跡の魔女の奇跡的な気まぐれってわけね。
How long had she been there? Lambdadelta was leaning on the handrail of the staircase, eating popcorn. She held the cup of popcorn out as if to say, "Want some?" But Leon declined the offer.
バトラ君たちが言ってました。エンジェちゃんは自分の命と引き換えに真実を得る契約をしたと。
さっきのあんたたちの話によるなら、それは契約じゃないわね。だって人は死ぬために真実を求めて生きてるんでしょ。つまりエンジェは自分の生の全てを真実を得るために費やした。それを一瞬の時間にベルンが凝縮しただけのことだわ。
エンジェちゃんは夢も希望もなくしたから、自らの命を軽んじてしまった。彼女にどうやったら夢や希望を与えられるんですか？どうやったら生きることに意味を見出させることができるんですか？
それ私に聞いてんの？私パーよ。それも2回転ひねりの入った超パー。難しい話されてもわかんないわ。
After tossing the last bits of popcorn into her mouth, Lambdadelta threw the empty cup into the abyss of nothingness.
ベルンがあの子をそそのかしたわけじゃないわ。ベルンはエンジェにチャンスを与えた。いえ、選択肢を与えたと言うべき。そしてエンジェはその選択肢の中から自ら選んでゲーム盤に現れ、そして今バトラとのゲームで再び自ら選択肢を選んでる。あの子のゲームは最初から最後までずっとあの子のものよ。私は今それをのんびりと感激しているわ。
感激に熱中しているというわけでもなさそうだな。
まあね、先の見えちゃったお芝居だし、だからそろそろおいとましようかなって思ってたところよ。
先が見えたと感じたら、あなたはそのお芝居を見るのをやめるのですか？ひょっとしたらあなたが想像しないようなクライマックスを迎えるかもしれないのに。
He had to be like, "I'm certain, I'm the Witch of Certainty, and I'm certain that I know how this is going to end." Lambdadelta licked her salty fingers. Then she stared at Leon challengingly and grinned.
エンジェちゃんのゲームは絶対にこれで終わりません。必ずバトラ君の気持ちが通じます。彼女により良い未来を生きてほしいという気持ちが伝わり、彼女が自らそれを選択する。必ず絶対そういう物語になります。
へえ、この絶対の
Yeah, right?
ラムダデルタに
Yep.
あんたが絶対を保証するの？
そうです。私がエンジェちゃんのゲームはこのままでは終わりません。だから席を立たないでください。そして私たちも立ちません。私たちにできることは必ずあります。そしてそれが必ず彼女をより良き未来へ誘う。この物語は必ずハッピーエンドになります。だから最後まで見届けてください。お願いします。
私、絶対の魔女として、この物語にハッピーエンドはないって宣言しちゃってるんだけど。
ハッピーエンドの定義なんて、見る人それぞれが決めることでしょ。
For a while, there was a tense silence. With a confident gaze that seemed to be saying, "Are you serious?" Lambdadelta stared at Leon. However, Leon's eyes didn't even twitch. I'm liking Leon's character. They've definitely, kind of come into their own ever since the encounter with Will. Seemed, pretty unsure, but now it's just, very on board with how things are going to go. For some time, they both stared into the other's eyes without flinching. Suddenly, Lambdadelta let out a large sigh and stretched.
いいわ。もうちょっとだけ付き合ってあげる。ポップコーンのおかわりをくれたらね。今度はキャラメルフレーバーがいいわ。
黄金鏡へ来てくれれば、いくらでもご馳走します。
Lambdadelta waved at them with a thin smile. No one was quite sure what this meant, but it apparently signified her surrender in her own way.
あんたがあんたなりの絶対のハッピーエンドを保証するなら、この大ラムダデルタ、もう少しだけ付き合ってあげるわ。本当に私って心が広いわよね。まるでピはこのように。
微妙に狭いな。
そして日本海のように穏やかね。すごい荒波です。
金形。おそらく例えが逆かと思われるものなり。
There was some muffled laughter. Lambdadelta is the witch who gives strength to those who possess unshakable willpower. She might have given Leon a bit of magic for that absolute belief in a happy ending.
みんな、私を退屈させるんじゃないわよ。じゃなきゃ、いつだって私は席を立っちゃうんだからね。
もちろんです。バトラ君も歓迎するでしょ。
Leon understood. In order to fight back against Bernkastel, who had taken Angie outside the board, they would need the power of another who was capable of leaving the board. Their last hope was to make sure Lambdadelta didn't abandon this game. However, judging by Lambdadelta's expression as she hummed to herself cheerily, actually asking her for help was probably going to be a problem.
見て、ゼパル。すごいわ。1階から下がぽっかりだわ。
これは絶景だね。なかなかお目にかかれない景色だよ。
上の様子はどうですか？
そうそう、それを知らせに来たの。
やあみんな、お待たせしたね。黄金鏡の扉が開いたそうだよ。
やれやれ。
参りましょう。ここはいつまでも安全ではありません。
Everyone who had been sitting on the staircase got up.
さらば、麗しの六軒島だな。
そうですね。こんな光景でさえ。これが見納めなのですね。
何を器用なこと言ってんのよ。見せなさいよ、私に。ハッピーエンド。
All right, well, we have... It seems like Battler and Beato have lost, but hopefully they have just won the battle, but not the war. I didn't even think about the significance of Leon convincing Lambdadelta to stay about the whole thing is they need a Voyager witch to be able to go to that same land that Bernkastel and Angie are at, and maybe they can have a one last-ditch effort to try and win the game. And while things seem kind of dire, we know that, well, I'm saying we know, I'm saying I know, I am also the Witch of Certainty, but after Battler putting so much heart into everything and this whole story, the whole thing about, with love it cannot be seen, everything that's happened, it can't end badly, right? Not unless I make it end badly, I guess. So Angie is on her way to Bernkastel. Everybody else is on their way towards the Golden Lands, and hopefully with Lambdadelta's help, maybe Battler can convince Lambda to help, and maybe one last-ditch effort to convince Angie to listen to him and not find the truth. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and stay tuned next week for part 95. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Kiori Makoto, SM, Revealing Storm, Tequila Mockingbird, Asborn Kennedy, Harry Gazif, iCognito, Jared Fan, Joel Oostman, and Zoran Ether.